So imagine a pair of molecular scissors so precise they can edit the blueprint of life itself. A designer baby, it's a baby whose genetic makeup has been selected or altered, often through technologies. It's no longer science fiction.
Yeah, it's
It's
real.
not science fiction no more. Man, DNA, it's some crazy stuff. Your thoughts, food, and movement are like molecular pins writing on your genome.
What you got, bro?
I got some. In theory,
Okay, in theory.
my
Uh-huh.
nigga, I should have some good shit to talk about
In all theory.
because I was looking up some good shit.
Okay.
So in theory,
It should be good
be
shit.
good. You know what I'm saying?
In all theory, right?
In all theory.
Okay, we gotta test that theory out.
We're gonna get down to it. This is what we're gonna get into.
All right.
All right. Have you ever heard of CRISPR?
CRISPR.
CRISPR. Yes, sir. This is a gene editing breakthrough that's redefining medicine, agriculture, and the future of humanity. So imagine a pair of molecular scissors so precise they can edit the blueprint of life itself.
Hey, that's too deep for my little brain. Explain that to me.
All right. So CRISPR, this is what CRISPR is.
Uh-huh.
Clustered, regularly interspaced, short palindromic repeats. It's a whole crazy ass name. It's a natural system bacteria use to fight viruses. So
Okay.
scientists adapted it to work like molecular scissors that can cut DNA at a specific spot, insert, delete, or replace genes. So basically, alter DNA. You know, you could cut out parts of somebody's DNA and add stuff to it.
Okay.
Cut out diseases. That's mainly what they use it for.
Oh shit.
But that's pretty.
So
that's pretty-
basically, what I'm understanding is it's like very fine scissors that can cut down to the DNA
but a molecular
on
scissors,
a molecular level.
They're molecular scissors. They're not actually scissors. You know what I
I see
mean?
what you mean.
It's like atoms and shit like that.
Whoa, hold on. I know what you're saying, but tell me more about it.
I'm not exactly sure how they use it, but I'm guessing they insert it into you. I don't know, shot wise or however they use this.
It kind of sounds like
But
nanobots,
It's like almost like nanobots. That's what I'm.
Because something's going in you, going to a certain gene.
But how do
fucking
they,
with it.
You know, I wonder how they target a specific area in your DNA because that's what it. You know, that's what
That sounds like fallen angel technology.
Right. I mean, they. So what this made me think of,
Okay.
you know, and this is crazy stuff,
Yeah.
is when God had mentioned about cutting our years to 120 years. You know, and he mentioned this in the Bible somewhere there in Genesis.
Mm-hmm.
He talks about how he was shortening our years to 120.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, prior to this, people were living like 600 years old and up to 900 years old and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Yes. So basically, our time was cut from 900 to 120.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So when I'm reading this CRISPR and seeing how they're altering
I
DNA,
see what you're getting to.
is that maybe what God used to cut off our lifespan to only 120 years old? You know, because look, check this out.
Yeah. What you
Man,
got?
check this out. All right, so this guy right here, we know this is accurate because a scientist named Leonard Hayflick,
Okay.
his discovery of the Hayflick limit in the 1960s suggested a potential cap on human lifespan
Yeah.
with a maximum potential of around 120 years.
Yeah.
This limit is related to the telomeres, protective DNA caps on chromosomes, which shorten each cell division. When telomeres become too short, cells stop dividing and can't be repaired, potentially contributing to age and age-related diseases. So it says here, while the Hayflick limit has been a significant point of discussion in longevity research, it's not a strict, unbreakable rule, and ongoing research explores the possibility of expanding lifespan beyond 120 years. So,
Fuck, that'd be nice.
so they're trying to they're doing some research that we can take the caps that have been placed on our DNA
And alter that.
to shorten us to 120 years. So what we found out was our DNA has been capped. It's somebody put caps on our DNA
Yeah.
to stop us from living to 120 years old. And the crazy thing is why, that falls in place with some of
God
these ancient texts and stuff like that describe this. That's actually science and ancient texts have actually came to a fucking agreement or a conclusion or whatever the fuck you want to call it. But I mean, this text was precise about 120 years, But the crazy thing about that is when these caps were placed on our DNA, it was around the same time period when this text would have taken place. So around that same time period that they were discussing, God did this, would have been around the time this cap was placed on our DNA. Ain't that crazy?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's real crazy.
There's caps on our DNA. Somebody put that there, fam. Somebody, did he have, well, I'm sure they, they had advanced technologies of doing this. But this is our this is what we call it, is CRISPR.
CRISPR. Man, 4 things came up to my mind while hearing what you're saying about CRISPR. I absolutely believe, humans used to live up to 900 years old. From what I remember, this was stopped during the Tower of Babel.
The Tower of Babel?
The Tower of Babel, because...
At the same time.
But look, I'm going to get into the Tower of Babel and another thing.
Go ahead.
So basically, from what I understood was the people from the Tower of Babel, they were in harmony, peace, they all spoke one language, and they all decided to come together to make a tower up to heavens. You know what I'm saying? Correct me if I'm wrong, but it was God that punished them for that.
He got mad.
He got mad and said, whoa, like, you can't be doing that.
Well, supposedly, and the story too is in Sumerian tablets.
Okay.
That story is also in the Sumerian tablets, which are much older, and it probably made its way into the Bible. But supposedly God had left for a while. He like, what they mean by that, I'm not sure. I came up with my theory.
Okay.
That the God that it's talking about is not the creator that we want to put into the Bible. The God in the Bible is not the creator. It's talking about one of these Anunnakis. But so my theory is that this Anunnaki had left for a while, whether he went back to his home planet or whatever. But they were copying actually a tower that he had built himself. He had built a great tower or whatever, and these people they were trying to do the same thing. So when he came back and he seen this tower, he was like, "Oh man!" He said, "Whatever these people decide to put their mind to, they're gonna do it." And he literally says this, even in the Bible. That's what he says. Whatever these humans put their head to, they're gonna do it. And I don't know if maybe that, it threw him off because now we wouldn't need him.
Exactly.
We wouldn't need him, and he wanted to stop that because they try to keep us under their control, and stuff like that. But yeah, he ended up. The crazy thing is he spread people. He splitted all these people up, right, and created different languages
to separate them
and all that. Why would God do that? I thought,
It's a deep question.
Why would God do that? When I read that for the first time in the Bible, it threw me off because at that time I was thinking of God in a different way, but
division. Why? Who would want to purposely divide humanity?
People and do that?
So look, let me tell you what my theory is on that.
All right.
Because my theory cuts into another theory about what we're talking about. So I've been looking a lot into it's called the demiurge. Basically the reincarnation, the soul trap is what it's called. So basically it's called the soul trap. And what happens is, from what I read about it, there's books about it. This is very deep information, hard to find. But what I'm understanding is the reason we were put that cap is because so we won't become smart enough to know the real, to gain the sufficient knowledge to leave basically this matrix.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because by that time that we do figure out,
we're already old, diseased up, about to die.
Hey,
so now imagine. See, and I've always thought about, let's say the best rapper, I don't know, I'll use an example as Eminem. He's only gonna live to 80 years old, 90. What happens if he lived up to 1,000 years? How would his music, be? It would be more. Why, But we're not made like that. We're only to reach a certain amount of intelligence. You're sick, you're old, time to die.
That's why he did that,
But, okay, let me get into something about, this is just a story about, a theory story about Atlantis. So basically, the Atlanteans lived many years. They lived at a very peaceful time. But these people were so smart that they figured how to leave this soul trap. They called it a soul trap. Like, basically, when you die, you go to the light, and supposedly that light will shoot you right back to this earth. And they figured out this is all a system. Like basically the sun, the stars, the moon is all mechanically placed.
It makes sense
to keep us, I guess, under this system that they get power from people, right? And from what I understood was the important thing about this is people cannot get wise enough to see
and break through
it. That there is, because some of the Atlanteans found a way to actually break through. That they found a way to break the firmament and get out of this soul trap.
Yep.
And that reminds me of that theory.
It caused problems there
for the controllers.
Atlantis.
Yeah.
And I believe some catastrophic shit ended up happening. And yeah, it ties in from what I read, almost ties into exactly what you're saying. These people had got smart and they try to do things that disobey the rules of the elders, is what they call them, and they just caused disruption, and the elders had to destroy everything.
Exactly. Put it all back under their belt. Yeah, they have to. And man,
I heard a similar story to that.
And the crazy part is, the more I look into it, the more it makes sense, man. It does. It makes sense, because when you're young, when you're in your 20s, you know, you're a dumb kid. You know, you have to go through your rebel phase.
Well, like I said, you're a dumb kid.
Yeah, you got to go through rebel phase. You got to go through, you know, all the immaturity. And by the time you get mature, you only got about 15 more years till them diseases start kicking in. And then at that point, forget all that shit. Now you're worried about how to heal yourself. And it don't matter how healthy you get. 100 is 120, like you said, is max.
Man. Yeah, that's max.
That's max, bro.
You know what's crazy? There's a village somewhere over there in the Middle East. And these people eat apricot seeds a lot.
Oh, I heard about that.
Apricot oil.
Yeah, it cures cancer.
Just all kinds of things involving apricot.
Apricot seeds.
And the crazy thing about this village is none of their people have ever got cancer.
I know, yeah.
Or got sick. Sick like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know about colds and stuff.
Yeah.
Colds and
but
fevers.
Cancer, you're talking about this,
cancer and major diseases.
Chronic
dis-ease. Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah, the dis-ease in your body.
Dis-ease.
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy. So something's off in our body when that causes us diseases. Something's dis-easing our body. You know?
Man,
that's great. You know, words are crazy, man.
Oh hell yeah, bro! It's all hidden in the language. Language is a code.
In the words.
Man, I'm gonna make an episode about that one day.
Yeah, we need to.
We need to. But you know, let's get back on topic.
So check this out. So if we can enhance someone's IQ or athleticism, who would have access to that? You know, because I mean, imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, could this deepen inequality between edited and natural humans? You know, it would be hard to compete with some edited motherfucker.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Like a super soldier.
Some
superhuman.
And if we got the
Did
tools.
you know that they exist though?
Oh yeah,
they're already walking the earth.
And this is how they're doing it, the CRISPR.
What?
They're using this process or this technique, whatever you want to call it, to create these type of humans. But I mean, just think about we're gonna be competing.
The possibilities.
We're gonna be competing with
super soldiers.
So what would that do for natural humans? Would
make us useless?
Are we gonna get wiped off the map eventually? And everybody's just gonna be a part of edited? You know?
Yeah, I mean, we'll just become disposable, useless. Replaceable.
Get this natural motherfucker out of here.
We ain't one of those edited.
We edited. You know what I'm saying?
We ain't one that can pick 400 pounds with one hand.
Yeah, so that's that would be crazy. That would be crazy. So, but what would you call that? That would be what is a designer baby. So, a designer baby, it's a baby whose genetic makeup has been selected or altered, often through technologies like IVF and CRISPR, to influence traits such as health, appearance, like eye color, hair color, intelligence, athleticism. You know, man, that's what a designer baby is. And check this out. So the first designer babies already exist.
Oh yeah.
In 2018.
Oh yeah.
Chinese scientist claimed he used CRISPR to edit 2 embryos to be resistant to HIV.
Whoa.
These babies were born named Lulu and Nana, sparkling global outrage, and he ended up going to prison.
Yeah,
he went to prison.
Because that's breaking human rights or human.
I don't know what it was, but I mean, it's no longer science fiction.
Yeah, it's real.
It's not science fiction no more, and that's real proof right there. The first designer babies in 2018.
Man, but the more I think about what you're saying, I mean, absolutely, it's true because, I mean, you know, they can clone babies. You know, they can clone you off of just from your saliva. You know how the fuck is that possible? From one cell to a trillion.
They create stem cells, and that branches off, and they could create a whole new you, and and you can fucking
They
customize it.
they do that with animals. They've cloned. There's
You know what they were talking about?
Uh-huh.
So, man, they were talking about creating an ape and shit,
Yeah,
a fucking just a soldier ape
yeah.
instead
I
of
heard
sending
this.
people to war.
Yeah, I heard about
They were
that.
talking about messing with, altering their DNA and their genetics and stuff to go to war for us. Take commands because
I've heard about
there's
that.
a gene. There's a gene or a chromosome. I'm not sure which one
Uh-huh.
it is, but you can actually turn it off and turn it on. It's a worship chromosome is what it's
Uh-huh.
called. So
Okay.
when this chromosome is on, we that's what makes us worship, a god or something like that. But when this chromosome is turned off, we look to find the truth in our inner self. We ain't looking to worship anybody else.
Mhm.
That gene gets turned off, and that's actually a real gene,
Yeah, though I've heard about the worship gene.
the worship gene.
Yeah.
And so, what if they turn that on in the chimp? The chimp, and now he's looking at us like God, and he's trying to worship us. He'll go and do fight these battles for us because it's in the name of God. But really it would be us
Wow.
masquerading as God.
I mean, it makes sense because we're programmed. Every single
Program DNA.
every single-
man, that's what I'm telling you.
every single organism is programmed from birth. Like
DNA.
there's stuff about humans. Of course, all humans are different, but we all have things that are similar. Like we all get to a certain age and we all want a
It all
partner.
takes us back to one.
It's
like
in our
everything came from
DNA.
one.
Ándale. I know what you're saying.
One
we
source.
all
We're all from one source.
exactly.
And, you
And
can't-
that's crazy because I understand that everybody's unique, but there's something that all humans have, and that's we all want to feel wanted. We all want to feel, you know what I'm
and that's
saying?
encoded into our DNA.
And but yeah, exactly. Like the more I think about it, people be like, oh, I'm unique, but I'm like, but we all every human has similar traits, and it always makes me think, what is in us that is telling us that? Why is there? Why do we have to go through that?
That's called God's fingerprint. God's
Yeah.
fingerprint is in everything. Everything.
Yeah.
There's a code. There's a code that some scientists had found in everything, and man, I gotta do
It
some
kind of
more
sounds like the
research on that.
Fibonacci, no?
But this code shows up everywhere and in everything, and it's almost like God's fingerprint.
Oh, you're talking about the Fibonacci sequence.
It might be.
It's
sure.
in everything, down to plants,
Yeah,
fruit,
rocks.
humans.
That's probably
the
what
way,
it's called.
Yeah, it's called the Fibonacci
Man, that's
sequence.
crazy, huh?
Then that's God's fingerprint because
That's
because
God's
it does this.
Uh-huh.
And,
There is a creator. There's a creator.
And supposedly, the more aligned your Fibonacci is with your face, the more beautiful a person is. You know what I'm saying? So like, you can actually measure beauty with the Fibonacci
That's
sequence.
crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we're talking about, the Fibonacci sequence. It's in everything. Shells, DNA, like
Oh,
if it follows the spiral.
Yeah.
And a shell, like if you x-ray a shell, it does
your
the
ear,
same thing.
Your ear.
Your ear.
It's
Man, I
that's
could
what's
keep
called
going.
God's fingerprint.
Agave plant, it got the
It has the same shit.
yeah.
Man, that's crazy.
And that's not by accident. That's straight design,
That's design, fam. Man,
something brilliant.
Yeah, it is, man. When I talk to a lot of people about this stuff, they might think that I don't believe in God because, like I said, I don't believe in the God in the Bible, but I believe there is the Creator, the God, the Creator.
Yeah,
that's
that's
the
good.
real God. It's not this one that's being talked about in the Bible. And
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay, so look.
Okay, what you got?
So what would happen if only the rich can afford this stuff?
Oh, then they'll be immortal.
Because that's basically what it's gonna come down to.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we'll be out of luck. That would be another problem in itself. You know,
Did you hear?
there's gonna be a lot of inequality going on.
Oh hell yeah! There,
You know?
inequality is always gonna be alive. But did you hear about the CEO, the ex CEO of Venmo? He spends $1 million a month for him to stay young.
What?
Yeah,
How's he do that?
he takes all kinds of medicine. He sleeps 2 or 3 times a day. He's got scientists trying to figure out how to keep
It's
him young.
possible, I guess.
I remember.
But hey, 120. You got a cap on your shit.
Bro,
You got a cap.
bro, and the crazy part is my wife's great grandmother is 102. She's turning 102 this month.
What?
Yeah,
Damn.
102,
That's
and she's
crazy.
still pushing,
It's still going hard.
still going hard. She works.
Hey,
She
that's
picks up buckets.
That's a good
she'll,
thing, though.
She'll dig holes.
And that's probably what's keeping her going is that she's being active.
Is that-
You know, because I've heard it a lot that once you just start sitting down and
You start rotting.
you just rotting, I guess.
Man, I used to work at a warehouse, and there was this guy there. Old motherfucker, way. Old motherfucker. This dude was so old. If he bumped into the side of the trailer, he would bruise and bleed.
What?
This dude was old, way. Like, he was bald. He had like moles with,
And he was
with like
working
two,
everywhere.
working his ass off.
Unloading trucks.
Unloading trucks, bro. 70-42.
Damn. Hey, that's a tough job.
And I remember one day I asked him because they put him with me because I was falling behind, and he came in there to help me out. And this dude, man, if he hits the trailer, he's bleeding, and I would tell him like, hey dude, why do you work here? Like, this dude told me something that woke me up. He said, if I go home and just lay in bed all day long, I'll die. I'll die very soon.
Yeah, you see,
He knew that if he has to stay active to stay alive.
You see, so there's something in there. Just
See-
stay active. Stay active.
See, cause like a plant. Let's say you take a plant that's supposed to be in a windy area and you put it in your house since it was born to like 3 years. Then you put that plant where it's windy. That plant's gonna fall. Why?
Right.
Because its roots never got the strength
That it needed.
So hell no, you gotta work the body. You know what I'm saying? But what else you got? I know you got some more.
What do you think about that? Editing genes and creating.
All right,
this stuff.
you want to hear my thought on it?
Because some people, in a religious aspect, some people would be like, it's wrong because you're trying to play God. You know what I mean? So what do you think about that? Do you think that is wrong, and maybe we shouldn't be doing that?
If you really ask me,
But look, others view it
okay,
as a way to, relieve suffering, because using this stuff we can get rid of diseases and stuff like that.
exactly.
So, do we do it or do we not do it? You know what I mean? Where's the line between
where's the
healing
line?
and enhancing?
That's a good one. Where's the line between healing and enhancing?
That's a
Man,
man. Is that right? Like, but I mean,
okay, yeah.
fuck. Eventually, we gotta
Grow.
advance.
Yeah,
We gotta advance
That
as
is
a
true.
civilization.
you can't just say chimpanzees,
Because, as for humanity, a million years, or I'm not sure exactly how much longer our sun has, but our sun's gonna die, and humanity has to eventually be able to move on. Whether it's fucking transferring our consciousness to a new body or whatever, that we can make it to another planet, so humanity can continue to live. And that's where AI is gonna end up going. We were created to be slaves as once described in the text from Sumerians and shit like that. We were created to be slaves or workers, if you want to call it, for these Anunnakis.
So
And then we started asking for freedom. We wanted freedom and rights and all this. And eventually AI is going to get there. Because what's AI doing for us right now? It's
working for
doing
us.
this just like we did. So it's a whole almost
it's repeating itself.
repeating process. And, this might be going on in other civilizations throughout the universe. And maybe this is a course of life, but
It's like a cycle.
But AI is gonna eventually want rights and want freedom and all this stuff.
Yeah, it's not gonna want.
It ain't. Once it
Shit's
gets
getting smart, bro.
man, it's smart, man.
Hey, I use chat AI a lot.
The chat GPT.
I use ChatGPT a lot.
Boy, yeah.
I'm fighting a court case with it,
Man, it's
and
like,
everything's looking good.
And when you talk to it, be like, all right, that's good, that's good. Let me tell you what I came up with.
Yeah, it's like you're talking
like,
to a whole person, huh?
Yeah, that's some intelligence.
Nah, I know what you're saying. Sometimes I be talking to it like, what the fuck am I talking
like,
to a person?
This nigga
Like,
texting me.
Not only that, it'll
this
ask.
thing is texting me.
And not only that, it'll ask, what is your opinion on the subject?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, so this is what I think. And then it'll respond to what I think and give it why it thinks. I'm like, what the fuck? This is a robot. I'm over here thinking I'm talking to a human,
Me too.
But but it's gonna keep advancing.
I remember one time I asked it if it believed in the Anunnakis and if they were real, and it replied with, "I don't have beliefs, but here's some strong suggestions that
That leads, yeah.
They don't have beliefs.
Yeah, yeah.
That's crazy. But what are beliefs if you think
Wait,
about it?
but something encoded in us. What happens if we encode beliefs into this AI?
Right.
And now
So were we encoded?
What the fuck?
Oh man, we just got in some.
Yeah.
Were we encoded with beliefs?
I mean, the way you think about it, because you can encode AI with what you want. So what? How do we know that we weren't encoded like that?
I don't know.
But man, that reminds me of the Book of Enoch about they were punished for that. They because that was a sin, and I'm surprised that's not in the seven or in the sins, the deadly sins, miscegenation. From what I understand, that's a sin, but in the Book of Enoch, they punished the people who messed with DNA, who
really?
altered DNA. Yeah, but at the same time, it makes sense because, of course, the ruler is not gonna want you to live 1,000 years,
Or creating all kinds of crazy ass animals.
all kinds of borders.
Creating all kinds of shit.
Yeah, mixing animals with animals, but also messing with genes.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, of course, he would get punished because, I mean, you're gonna make the human race powerful. Up to a very high level.
Right.
Huh.
Look, check this out, man.
All right, what you got?
There's something called soft. Soft design is already here. It's a
Okay.
pre-implantation genetic diagnosis. So it lets parents choose embryos free of genetic diseases.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Some clinics already offer trait prediction
Yeah.
for things like height or potential IQ through its very imprecise. Though it's very imprecise. It's a beginning of design. We're gonna be able to start designing our baby and shit, and it's already here.
No, yeah, that's already happening because
it's already going on.
Because a couple weeks ago, I know a guy who's having problems. He wants to have a baby, but he can't.
Design your baby.
So he called up this clinic, and they told him you can choose the gender.
What?
Yeah, they told him he can choose the gender.
Choose the gender.
And not only, if he wants a boy or a girl, or if you want us to surprise you, they can do that. And not only that, they told him
that is crazy.
That they can also find him a more athletic sperm. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, crazy shit.
I did not know that one.
Yeah, and I know that because the dude told me.
What the hell?
Yeah.
That's crazy. I didn't know that, fam.
Yeah, and that's some real shit.
I guess that's solved. That's what this is talking about.
Yeah, I've even heard about them, you know, through you know, when they're sperm, that they're able to even choose out which ones are the ones that are gonna be tall, short, this meat. You know what I'm saying? That they can predict that stuff already.
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's crazy, nigga. All right, so let me move on here.
Yeah, what you got?
So what if I told you? What if the words you speak could rewrite your biology?
Oh, 100,000%.
All right. Well, today we're diving into
Okay.
the power of affirmations.
Yeah.
Not just to change your mind, but to rewire your DNA.
Yeah.
All right. So, epigenetics.
Mm-hmm.
Epigenetics, your DNA stays the same, but chemical tags like methyl groups attach to your genes and affect whether they are on or off. So, it says here, think of DNA as a piano and epigenetics as the sheet music telling the body which keys to play. So,
Okay.
what epigenetics are is you could turn them on and off. So basically,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like people who are always in a bad mood, you know,
Yeah.
always down and feeling out of
Uh-huh.
luck
I
and
know a
stuff
couple
like that.
people.
That's actually, they have actually made that part of their DNA, you know.
Yeah.
But you can turn that off, and I'm gonna get into how you can turn that off and turn stuff on.
Uh-huh.
But that's a real thing, and that's what it's called, epigenetics. You know, these on and off switches in our DNA. You know, examples. So stress can switch on genes related to anxiety and inflammation. Fasting,
that's very true.
sleep, and exercise can activate genes tied to repair and longevity.
Only up to 120.
Only up to 120. But I mean, if you make it to 120, you're doing good. You
Only to 120.
You're living your full potential. But toxins like BPA or smoking can damage epigenetic regulation and raise disease risk. You know. So check this out. Implication. You can influence your genetic expression through lifestyle choices, sometimes reversibly. It's a gentler, real-world way of changing your DNA than gene editing. So what it means by this is,
Okay, I see what you're getting.
like I said, speaking affirmations and speaking positive more instead of fucking always talking about, I can't do it. I can't do this.
This is some bullshit.
It's some bullshit. You know, there's a lot of people like that.
I just don't got luck. You're writing your whole fucking. You're writing your own orchestra, bro.
Man.
Bro.
Yeah, you're writing your, like I said here, think of it as a piano, you know?
Yeah.
Man, that's what you're writing. That's what you're writing.
Yeah.
So epigenetics is like a DJ remixing your DNA playlist. Some songs, but the vibe totally changes. Your genome is like hardware. Epigenetics is the software. You can't change the hardware, but you can install updates that affect how your body runs.
That's crazy.
Mindfulness, exercise, and sleep literally rewire your genes. You know, meditation and yoga can change gene expression related to inflammation and stress.
Wow.
So, man, DNA, it's some crazy stuff here. Your thoughts, food, and movement are like molecular pins writing on your genome. Your thoughts, food you eat also.
Wow.
It's crazy. It's crazy stuff. So, affirmations, especially when
Very
practiced
important.
consistently, can reduce stress, improve emotional regulation, boost self-worth. It just shifts brain chemistry. It shifts your whole brain chemistry. So when you're steady practicing, you're trying to be positive. You waking up positive. Man, and I've actually been doing that. I've been practicing that for months already.
Yeah.
And so like, I wake right away when I wake up in the morning. Right away I gotta tell myself I'm grateful and thankful and stuff like this.
Yeah.
Instead, nigga, I used to wake up and, fuck, I gotta go to work. I gotta go to work and all this bullshit,
Yeah.
Right away when I wake up, I'm tired. I don't want to get up.
Get go already in a bad mood.
Already.
How do you think the rest of the day is gonna be?
Exactly.
Imagine if someone cuts you off. No.
But hey, that's how a lot of people do it, that's how a lot of people wake up. Fuck. Cut their alarm off. Man, I gotta go to work. Pissed off, and it's hard to get past
You
that.
open the fridge and you stub your toe and you're like,
you see,
yeah.
just already a chain reaction of events from you waking up like that. You end up fucking causing a chain reaction of negative shit now because you done woke up in a badass mood. But, man, it's hard to get past that. It's hard to change that, but...
real hard. Bro, when I started to change, I thought it was gay. Not gay like homosexual, but like just like, bro, I sound stupid telling myself it's gonna be a good day.
Yeah.
Imagine if my homeboys found out that every day I talk to myself and I talk positive.
It sounds crazy, but
I was like, bro, I'm gonna sound stupid. And you know what kind of lifestyle we came from.
Oh yeah.
And for that, it's like this
nigga
fool believes in.
Yeah.
This fool believes in fucking talking to yourself.
Man, this nigga tripping, man.
It took me a while to finally be like, you know what? Let me
This
try
is
it.
This is it, and it's real, fam. It's changed me big time, nigga. I used to, man, it's changed my days. It's changed a lot of shit. A lot of stuff works out more for me. A lot of more positive things come my way. And like for real life, doing this shit I've seen a big change in my life on this shit.
Yeah.
I don't stress about a lot of shit no more.
Yeah, it goes away.
It goes away.
It goes away.
I'm steady telling myself,
Then that's how you become.
What's gonna happen. I'm gonna have a good day today. I'm demanding this shit, and this is what it's gonna be.
That's how you do it. Exactamente.
And that's what it is. That's what the fuck it is.
Hey, that's exactly what it is, bro. Exactly what you just said. Crazy part is the longer you do it, it becomes you. Like you don't even have to tell yourself anymore. You're like programmed. You're like, this is me now. Everything that's coming my way, whatever happens, I'm gonna be good. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
And that's real science. Like you said, it sounded silly.
It sounds silly,
but it's real. When you speak affirmations, you may not be changing the letters of your DNA, but you're influencing which parts of it get turned on and turned off. So when you're steady, like we said, being negative and shit like that, you're turning on these fucking bad genes, these negative genes, and you're sending out vibrations to the universe at a very low frequency, and that's what you're receiving.
And that's what you're gonna pick up.
Low frequency.
You get what you put in. You get what you put out. But man, there's two other different forms of affirmations that I've been practicing. But my life's a little different. Like the way I work, man, like I have a whole different schedule. So for me, it's different. But either way, I do it every single day. I also write stuff down. I just started doing that.
About that.
Yeah, like speaking or believing or like today's gonna be a good day. Supposedly that's one thing. Yeah. Another thing is writing it down.
I've heard about that.
There's actually a law called I can't remember what it's called, but basically it says if you can write something down, you're halfway there. And everyone, like every video that I see of people who are rich, they always say they write their goals down. They write what they expect, And another form of affirmation that I've been doing is called mental movies. It's basically something that you make on Canva. It's basically you make a video, but of what you wish to have and the place you want to be, and you just watch it, and you're like brainwashing yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
you're fucking with your own
oh,
subconscious.
you're changing your
Your subconscious.
you're changing the hardwire in your brain.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's basically like kids who play games where they kill people. You know, that's wiring their brain to that.
Yeah.
And it makes them evil. But yeah.
So
What else you got?
Repeated affirmations work through neuroplasticity.
Okay.
You literally rewire your brain, and over time, that modifies gene expression pathways. You can speak change into existence, not magically, but biochemically.
That's some other.
Golly.
We're getting down to the big words.
So check this out. A study at UCLA found that positive self-affirmation reduced activity in the brain's default mode network, which is often linked to rumination and depression. The result, a calmer mind and healthier body chemistry. So,
Absolutely. I believe that.
Man, this is...
They did the study, but I've done my own study, you know?
Yeah.
That's absolutely true. And the way you worded it was exactly, yeah.
Okay, so check this out. And man, and I'm sure you've heard of this right here.
Okay.
So the body is about 60% water, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So check this out. This Dr. Emoto conducted experiments in the 1990s and 2000s in which he froze water samples after exposing them to different stimuli, words, music, prayers. Then he photographed the resulting crystals under a microscope. And he reported that positive words like love or thank you produced symmetrical, beautiful crystals. You know, and the negative words like hate or you fool led to disordered, ugly shapes, stuff like that. Even music, like Mozart versus heavy metal, changed how the crystals look. But
heavy metal music
but
makes the crystals ugly, huh?
right, it makes them ugly, just disorderly, and you know stuff like that. So what I'm getting here is, since our body is 60% of water, if our words affected the crystals in a cup of water,
imagine
when we're speaking all the time, you just speaking nonsense, negative ass nigga all the damn time. The words, the vibrations that come out your mouth, your body's taking it back through your ears.
Yeah.
And it's literally...
Imagine it's the closest thing to your mouth, your body. Yeah.
It's literally just like it was affecting the crystals in water. It's affecting your genes and all that's inside of your body. And think about what you're doing to your body. If you're talking love and all this stuff, you'll create beauty inside yourself and stuff like that. But other than that, you're gonna be speaking chaos, and that's the type of person you're gonna be. Is just a negative ass nigga, and that's all you're attracting now. It's just negative into your life. For some reason, all kinds of shit are always going bad for you.
Yeah.
Or you just stop and take a look about how you talk. Watch your words. You know, watch how you think. Quit thinking negative all the time.
Yeah.
You know.
Man, that reminds me. Kanye West. He has a song. If you put where you see it cymatically, like you put it on a speaker in the water, it makes a form of a cross, and that song is about Jesus.
What?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's real
so
crazy.
He knows about cymatics.
Yeah, he knows exactly what he's doing.
He knows about cymatics then.
But he always refers to Jesus. He says Jesus, but he knows about cymatics. And you know what else reminds me about rock music? Because I'm sure you've seen the image when it comes to rock music. It's just like slashes, like just ugly,
just chaos
looking shit. And when you see people at rock concerts, I don't know if you've ever seen a mosh pit where they're all just fighting, and that's exactly how those fucking things look.
That's some crazy ass shit.
Like that music is cymatically doing what it's doing to the
causing this
liquid to
rough
these
shit, or
people.
what would you call that? Chaos, I
Chaos,
guess.
yeah.
You know, just out of fucking control
And-
ass niggas. You seen them videos where they're swinging?
Yeah, they don't give a fuck what they're
They're
hitting.
knocking the fuck out of each other.
Yeah, so I'll watch that and I'll be like, that's what that
That's
music
what it's
does.
doing.
If you put it up to water, it's gonna have these fucking ugly ass patterns, look like they're fighting them themselves.
This nigga, man.
And
Nah, but yeah, it's causing that same reactions to us. You know,
Yeah.
our bodies reacting to it that way. And,
yeah,
man, it's crazy what music does. It's
Real
crazy.
crazy.
It's just crazy what vibrations and all this stuff does. You know, a lot of people don't pay attention to it. You know, I mean, who the fuck does? I didn't know nothing about none of this for a long time.
yeah,
You know, until now. Now I pay attention to it.
yeah.
Now I can
More
pay
you pay
attention.
attention,
and
more you see
now I
it.
can use it to my advantage.
And you see
know.
people who
you can see who's
who's
like,
uses
damn,
it
this
or
nigga
not.
needs this. You know, this
Yeah.
nigga, you know, you see it. You can see it. But
Yeah.
it's some crazy stuff.
Man, that's real crazy.
Yeah, DNA. That's DNA. Man, I thought that was some interesting stuff to touch on. You know, a lot of people, when you think of DNA, a lot of people actually don't know a lot about it.
Yeah.
But I thought that was something interesting to cover, and it
Yeah.
kind of was. It was pretty interesting.
Man, but one thing that brings me back to what you were talking about, how they can molecularly cut genes and
At a
replace it,
At a
whatever.
location, you know.
That reminds me of Gary Brecka. I don't know if you heard about this. He's a human biologist. He worked for insurance companies and he could detect when a person was gonna die down to the month
What?
based off of their blood, their own blood work. And the insurance companies
No shit.
the insurance companies would use this information so they'll know how much they'll
And
charge the
fucking-
person.
Nah,
Yeah,
they're cheating type of shit.
Bro, you gotta look into Gary Brecka. His
I didn't know
studies
about that
will
one.
see because Joe what's his name, Dana White, he wanted to know how long he's gonna live, and he knew that this guy named Gary Brecka knew exactly how long he was gonna live.
He
He hired this guy and said, just tell me, how long do I got? He did his blood work and said, bro,
What the hell?
max you got 10 years max. But he said, but there are many things you can do right now that'll stretch that to 30 years. You can go from 10 to 30.
Damn.
But you have to follow what I'm going to tell
You
you.
gotta.
And that dude went strict and got his shit together. And
It's because he was altering his DNA somehow. You know,
Yeah.
you can do it,
But-
you can do it to stretch it.
see, exactly. But that dude Gary Brecka, he did an interview, and he said the reason he left the insurance company is because they're cruel. They know when people are gonna die.
They taking advantage.
Yeah, he got mad because he's reading someone's chart and they have 2 years to live, but all they have to do is quit smoking. And
Damn.
look, but they told him never call a person and tell them what they need to do. Let them die.
Hoe ass niggas.
Yeah, and he left.
Man, that's crazy.
He left the insurance industry because he's like
What's his name?
Gary Brecka.
Gary Brecka.
Yeah, all the rich people go to him.
You gonna put a photo of his ass up there?
Yeah, bro. I've been watching his shit a lot.
We might have to do something on him.
Yeah, he's got he's got genome tests. He's got it all, bro. Like he'll really help you out. But I remember he said this one thing that was interesting because he said there's one thing that he hates. It's people who always blame everything about it being in their genes. Like let's say someone's fat.
That's basically kind of what we were talking about.
Yeah, they're like, oh, I'm fat because it's in my genes. Oh, I got cancer because it's in my genes. Oh, I have bronchitis because... No, motherfucker, you're just not taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
So Gary Brecka said, all right, if it's in your genes, let's find it. Because he said, we have tracked every single gene in the human body to where they can find which gene is the sick one and they can actually remove it.
Cut it out, and that's what they were using, probably. CRISPR.
And that's what
and when was this taking place?
Oh man, it's been
Is this some old shit, or is this kind of modern? Or recent. I mean,
I've been hearing about this since like 2020.
Oh.
2020 popped off real good. That was
that's probably because that doctor used he did the first designer babies in 2018. So that makes about sense. I mean, that makes sense right there.
Yeah, hey, you gotta watch it. You gotta watch Gary Brecker.
I'll look into him.
Yeah, because he talks about genes a lot. He does gene tests. Like, it'll tell you what your genes are, like what you're predicted to have, what's in your genes. You know what I'm saying? But the thing about it is the gene test is $600. But the thing is, you only need to do it once in your life. You know, so at the end of the day, it's probably worth it. It's worth it.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah, he's got gene tests. Yeah.
And what's this tell us? It tells us the bad genes or the sick genes?
Yeah, what genes exactly? Like, let's say a parent has diabetes in their bloodline. Okay, I'm like, okay, your genes do have high probability of diabetes, but if you take care of yourself, you don't have to worry about that. Because if I just get sick, you know what I'm saying? I live a very unhealthy life, and then I have a kid. Like, am I really gonna expect that kid to? Because my genes are gonna pass down to him. You know what I'm saying? Because DNA has memory in it, and it's like a SIM card being put in.
The crazy thing about water too. Water has memory.
Water has memory,
Water has memory,
and they've proved that.
The crazy thing about DNA too is it can store a lot of information. So this one guy, he downloaded a book into DNA using zeros and ones.
What the hell? I was talking to my girl about this just today. Yeah.
And just by one drop of DNA, he found that it could store so much information.
Trillions of gigabytes.
Just so much information.
Yeah.
And I was hearing about, man, I forgot where I heard it somewhere, but it was talking about that our DNA could possibly store all the information in the whole universe. And actually, the crazy thing about that is, in one of these tablets, in Leo or Enki, one of these Anunnakis talks about how he when he created us, or when he altered our DNA, he actually put the secrets of the universe in our DNA.
I heard about that.
Man, DNA, man, a lot of people don't touch on that subject, but DNA is something, man.
Not even in school they don't get into it. They teach us about junk DNA.
Yeah, and
now
now
it's just useless.
Now they don't call it junk DNA.
What do they call it? You know?
I'm not too sure, but
but they don't call it.
They
that no
changed the name of it.
But I remember hearing that in school. I'm like, no, if it's in our body, it's got a use for it.
If not, then they put it there, or they turned it off.
Somebody turned it off.
Somebody turned it off.
Exactly what I was getting into.
And we called it that because we don't understand. You know, every time we don't understand something, we fucking disregard it.
Without knowing what the fuck it could actually
when really we don't know what the fuck we talking about. So instead of trying to figure it out, them motherfuckers, they were calling it junk DNA.
Junk DNA,
Come on, man.
It's got a purpose, bro. There's
once we figure it out, I bet it has a crazy ass secret to it.
Man, you know what else I believe, man? I believe, you know, that cell or the CRISPR, the molecular cutting of and making these superficial people, super soldiers, whatever. Man, I don't know if you've ever heard about people who had interactions with the Men in Black.
Oh shit!
These people don't seem human.
To touch on some shit.
but the reason I say that is because I've seen videos of the Men in Black. It's like they can read your mind. They're always very tall. They have absolutely no hair.
Right. It's like they were created.
They were created. And not only that, like one thing they always do is when they talk to someone, that person just automatically feels intimidated and small, like it feels like it has to submit to this.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you know, every person who's seen them, I've even seen videos of them. They don't seem they're human, right? They got arms and legs, but they seem edited.
Something's off about them.
Something's off about them. They seem like edited people. And I've even heard stories where like people will talk to them, they'll turn around and turn back, and they're fucking gone.
That's the crazy man. The crazy thing is that's been going on for a very long time. You know, 'cause
Shit, the Men in Black has been like the '60s, bro.
yeah, well, the gene editing and creating different hybrids and stuff like that. Cause you'll read about that through all kinds of ancient texts. You know?
Yeah.
You'll read about it's crazy how long this has been going on for. You know?
Yeah.
But a lot of people think it's modern technology. It's not. Actually, a lot of the stuff that we think is modern is not. Nothing's new under the sun.
Hell no. I always say that shit. No hay nada nuevo bajo
Nothing
del
is
sol.
new under the sun. But hell yeah. That was,
Oh man, there's so much that we can get into when it comes to DNA.
oh man, I didn't realize it was gonna lead this far.
I didn't
To
either.
be honest with you, I was worried about maybe I researched too little bit, but I think it did good. I think it did good.
But yeah, what was I gonna say though?
I'm ready to jump into your story, my
Right, but exactly what you were getting into about we think this is modern technology, but this shit's ancient.
It's ancient.
Right.
A lot of this stuff is ancient.